Back again with Cloten's Campervan Counties. I feel like I should have some sort of a theme tune or a jingle to make it more exciting. I'm excited because I'm in the camper van. Come on, let's go north. Yay! You know it, I love it when we go north. So we're in Cambridgeshire, we're going to scoot up the A1. We're going to this part of the country. So it's another county with a coastline. On the east coast, we've got the North Sea. It's Northumberland. It's the northernmost county in England. Beautiful, beautiful county. I love it. And I have such fond memories of family day trips and visits out with my friends as well, because Northumberland has a border with County Durham. So it was really easy to just drive into Northumberland and to go up to the coast there. If we were to drive it today, it would take quite a long time. It's about 265 miles, which would take us around 4.5 hours, I guess. That's to get to the county town, which is Alnwick. Morpeth is actually the place in Northumberland where the county council is based, so that's another one of the larger towns in Northumberland. I could ramble easily because I just love it, so I'm going to try and rein myself in by using my notes. First thing I wanted to say about Northumberland was that it is home to the most castles in England. Some of them are ruined, but there are more than 70 castle sites. Has this rich and fascinating history because there have always been lots of border wars between England and Scotland. So as the northernmost county in England, it has a border with Scotland, and there were always battles between the two. In fact, that's one of the reasons why the Romans built a wall called Hadrian's Wall across from east to west, basically right across Northumberland and partly into Cumbria. They built it in the 2nd century AD to try and stop some of the tribes, so some of the Pict tribes from Scotland, coming into England. One of my strong memories from being a child is being in the car with my family and in the back of the car with my brother, and we'd be looking around for signs of the Romans inhabiting that part of the country. So we'd look for signs of the Hadrian's Wall, and we'd also look for very straight roads. So in parts of Northumberland you do get these remnants of Roman roads that have now been resurfaced and everything, but they're so straight because that was one of the characteristics of how Romans built roads, very straight. Let's see what else we've got. Get very geographical with you now. Well, more geology. So in Northumberland there is a real notable landscape feature. It's called the Whin Sill. That's WHINSILL, and it was created around 295 million years ago. Basically, the Earth's crust was kind of stretched, and this molten rock, so it's so hot, the rock, that it's liquid, over 1,000 degrees C, rose up from deep within the Earth's core. It didn't reach the surface, but it kind of got injected into layers of limestone and shale and sandstone. So it created these huge blocks of rock. So if you remember when we talked about County Durham, I mentioned a waterfall called High Force. That's part of the Whin Sill that you see there, where High Force comes over the top. The water tumbles over the top of the Whin Sill there. But in Northumberland, you see parts of Hadrian's Wall are built on top of the Whin Sill, and as you get closer to the coast, Bamborough Castle is situated on top of the Whin Sill, and then into the sea beyond Bamborough Castle you get some islands which are also part of the Whin Sill. They're called the Farne Islands, and there's also Lindisfarne there, which is, its other name is Holy Island. Some of you might remember that when we talked about the Vikings, because they did invade Holy Island way back in time. One of my fond, silly story memories is about the Farne Islands, and it's not when I was a child, it's actually when I was a teacher. I'll tell you quickly, in my 2nd year of teaching, I was working in a school in the northeast, and we had a day trip to the Farne Islands. We were going to go and see some nesting birds on one of the islands. So We got on a coach. There were 2 classes. Luckily, I wasn't the lead teacher, so there was my class and another class. He was called Mr. Smith, the other teacher. Mr. Smith was in charge, which is just as well because of what actually happened. We drove to a place called Sea Houses in Northumberland. We got on a boat, and then the idea was we were going to look for seals on the way to the Farne Island, on the way to one of these Farne Islands. I didn't see any seals. There were some seals. I didn't see them because I was seasick. And my class was saying, look, Miss Cloten, over there, seal. And I was just like, yeah, couldn't look because I felt sick. Then we got to the island and we were all given hard hats, like builder's hats. And we were kind of warned that because these birds, they were called Arctic terns, because they were nesting, they might be a little bit protective of their nests. It was one of the worst experiences of my life. I spent my time on the island with my hat on, screaming, ah, ah, because basically the birds just dive bombed at your head or any part of your body because they were indeed protective of their nests. And then, of course, I still had to get back on a boat and go all the way back to Sea Houses, and I was seasick again. Not one of my most favourite teaching memories. Right, and the last place I want to talk about in Northumberland, there's a beautiful Victorian country house near a place called Rothbury. It's called Cragside. If you ever get a chance to visit, you should, because the house is lovely, but the grounds, there are these massive expansive grounds that are also gorgeous. It was the home of William Armstrong. I wanted to mention him because he was a scientist and an inventor, and he made Cragside the first house in the world to be lit, using hydroelectric power. So the electricity in his house the power was generated by water that he used from his surroundings. It is a lovely house, and I could tell you another family story rather than a teacher story, but it will be just me getting sidetracked. I'll tell you briefly that my family managed to get separated and lost in a huge labyrinth, a huge maze, basically. We were getting to the point of thinking, after an hour and a half of not being able to find each other, that we might need to call the police. Although we had no phone signal, we thought the helicopter might have to come and rescue us or find the members of the family that were missing. Anyway, thankfully that didn't happen. So enough about Northumberland. We'll go to the southwest next time. We'll go to a county called Somerset. We've been to Shropshire, sorry. Somerset, which has a coastline too.